Welcome to Wealthing Talks. I am your host, Alicia Castillo Holley, bringing you real-life conversations from Silicon Valley or somewhere around the world. We will talk about disruptors, angel investments, venture capital, and of course, family offices. Join me along with my children, their families, friends, disruptors, and investors as we explore the fascinating world of creating wealth in a completely different and authentic way. Okay, hello everybody. This is such an exciting podcast. I am so happy to welcome Shyam Natarajan. He's one of our portfolio company founders, and I love what they're doing with one of the most common cancers for men. I always tell my friends who are guys, you should invest in this company. You should follow this company because you have a vested interest in this. And Shyam, thank you so much for sharing this time with us. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Alicia.
So let's just start with the initial question. How did you get to be here? How did you get to do what you're doing?
That's a complicated question because there's a lot of folks that want to try to get it into building a company and start first with I want to build a company and try to figure out the idea for the company. But I think the best way and sort of how I found my journey in entrepreneurship is you start with a really clear unmet need or a really clear problem, and you first try to build a solution to solve the problem, and then you figure out, hey, wait a minute, a lot of other people have the same problem, and you need to figure out that solution. So I'm in medtech, so I'm working in prostate cancer. By no means do I am I connected with the disease directly. This is a cancer that predominantly affects men over 50. It's the most common cancer in men. But I was a professor at UCLA working in bioengineering and urology on diagnosing prostate cancer. I'm coming up with better ways of mapping and finding these cancers earlier. So the challenge, though, is we did a great job, and we actually built some technology that spun out and has impacted standard of care. The problem is that we can find all of these cancers much more accurately with better imaging, better diagnostic testing, image fusion where you're merging real-time ultrasound with MRI. But if it doesn't change the actual treatment outcome and the actual therapy, then, what was the point of having that extra information? Just because you know something doesn't mean that you're going to get a better outcome. And so what we built is a better way to leverage that advanced diagnostic information to actually improve the outcome that's, for all of these patients.
And how long have you been doing that?
Yeah, so I started in, I want to say 2017, but not, full time. For us, it was actually kind of a fun story that I never wanted to be in academia. I was on this academic track. But I ended up winning, what's called an R01, which is the sort of the top tier government grant you can get from the National Cancer Institute. That grant was actually to spin out the technology that I was working on at UCLA to industry. And you needed to have an industry partner as part of that grant. So when I won the grant in 2016, it was going to start in 2017, and we didn't actually have an industry partner. We had, a large company that ended up dropping out because they did a reorg. So right around that same time, I entered into the medtech innovator pitch competition. This is a global accelerator sponsored by the medical device companies. And normally these are like Series A, Series B companies that go into the accelerator. But I was encouraged by the head of that accelerator to enter even just as a professor without any company, without any like physical product, essentially, a prototype with good clinical data. And I ended up winning. And so the confluence of those two things together, having this grant that needed an industry partner and getting into this accelerator, but not having a company, it was sort of the forcing function to tell me in 2017 to say, yep, now it's time to incorporate. But then it took me a year and finding a fantastic co-founder to actually get off the ground after raising our seed round.
Oh, that's great. How long did it take you to raise the seed round?
Yeah, so I would say it took us a year to raise the seed round because um, one of the key challenges in order to raise is that we had great technology, but it was locked up at the university. So we had to
Oh, wow.
negotiate for the intellectual property. And it's a little bit complicated when you're also like employed by the university because there's strict conflict of interest. So we had to, my co-founder essentially had to do the negotiation at arm's length in order for us to go forward. And these institutions move very, very slowly. But thankfully, we got our license, our IP license for our technology, and we close our seed round in the next 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. Do you think those things were related?
Yeah, actually, a number of we basically got investors excited, but they said they wouldn't put in the money until we had the license.
Oh, well, that's good. That
Yeah.
is good. Is there is there anything that you would tell yourself now that you've been at the front of this company for a longer period of time? Is there any lessons, anything that you would have told yourself or somebody just starting now that you've learned?
Yeah, I would say that well, we did a couple of things well. We talked to a lot of different people in a lot of different phases of companies,
Mhm.
and folks even on the strategic side. Because one thing that I learned, and I also see with other younger entrepreneurs, is that, any one piece of advice could be either devastating or catalyzing, but the reality is so much more complicated. And so it's not about talking to the right person necessarily. It's just getting a full I guess full set of feedback on, your vision and don't compromise on your vision. I mean, you as an entrepreneur know know the technology and the product and the space the best. Others, will have a lot of valuable insight, but I would say that if I told myself what I would tell myself at the beginning is it's going to take a long time, and that's just how it works for medtech. But number two is that the ideas that we had at the early stages of the company are the same ideas that we have today. It's the same sort of vision and the through line. While tactically, we've sort of pivoted and changed over the years, the vision is still the same.
And you kept that. And who helps you maintain that vision? How do you do that?
Yeah. So first, have a fantastic founding team, have other co-founders. It's really hard to be a solo founder, and I don't envy solo founders that have to go through this journey themselves. But I have a clinical co-founder, Dr. Lenny Marks, who really is not just well connected in the space, is really knowledgeable about the disease state and has that direct line of interaction with patients, so really knows what patients care about and understand. And then my other co-founder, Dr. Britt Berry Pusey, she got her PhD in biomedical physics, but then went on to venture creation and deal sourcing at large medtech and digital health for pharma companies. So coming with a very different type of experience. And I think that richness of like not falling into groupthink and not falling into the same kind of thought processes, as well as some great mentors that we've had over the years. Some of, one of my mentors is now on my board, so this is
That's fantastic.
yeah, really important to sort of cultivate those different opinions and perspectives.
Do you ever have to say no, thank you, and let go of somebody? Have you ever had that?
Unfortunately, yes, and I mean, it. during before making that decision, we've only had to do it a few times.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Predominantly either for performance or because we made like a fundamentally different business decision to like pivot or shift.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say leading up to that, like a lot of sleepless nights of how do you say this to someone, and how do you communicate it, and how do you make sure that you're able to provide something, with your limited resources as a startup, provide
Uh-huh.
something so that, folks aren't just completely left, by the side. Um, I would like to say that we have been, somewhat fortunate in that, some of the in the past, like some of the people that we've had to let go, seen that they've gotten like bigger, I would say for them potentially better jobs, you know,
Uh-huh.
and going forward. Because at the end of the day, it's not about like they're bad people, or they may
No.
not be fit for the right role or the right stage of the company. Like for example, like we're not a large software organization, and some people really need that infrastructure to like grow and learn from, a large organization, and that's just not us.
What about, have you ever declined an investor?
Yes, I would say we've
You
done it
have.
every single round.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Uh, I
I'm glad we're on the right list then.
yeah, it's interesting. We declined a term sheet for Series A.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really painful. But
Oh.
ended up being, in hindsight, the best, like a good decision.
Mm-hmm.
For our Series B, we ended up saying no to an investor, which was also very, very painful. And it almost, it almost was, really challenging to, get around together and close. But ultimately, I think it was still the right decision. And, I was confident at that time of saying no to this group. And then, actually, after our Series B, we actually did have an investor that came close to a term sheet, almost gave us a term sheet for our Series C. Um, and we ended up saying no to them as well because we weren't aligned on strategy of how to actually
Okay.
move forward. And because look, at the end of the day, we're a healthcare company. It really, in order for a healthcare company to be long lasting and deliver value for patients and not just be a flash in the pan, it's important
Mm-hmm.
to really build up your reimbursement strategy, or your market access. Really want to democratize access to care. So we just sort of misaligned on strategy of how we delivered care to maximize our impact.
And the product is already in the market, is that correct? At least one, the diagnostic tool.
Yes, that's
So
correct.
how do people get access to that?
So right now, we are contracted with several large hospitals
Mm-hmm.
and clinics, and
Mm-hmm.
so we have patients actually contacting us through our website. We have, a partial list of physicians that they can go see to get access to our test.
Mm-hmm.
We're a medical device, so it's by prescription only, essentially.
Okay.
But for patients at these large hospitals, for example, Stanford is a great example. If you're getting your prostate biopsy at Stanford, chances are you're going to be offered, or you know
Okay.
get our test if God forbid your cancer comes back positive.
And for doctors that want to use it, what is the pathway? Or hospitals? How do they
Yeah.
reach out?
So.
Are you
um,
going to say no to them too?
No, we don't.
Just in case.
I would say that our sales has been pretty mostly inbound at this point. We're in the really early days. So
Mhm.
for doctors, if they perform image guided biopsy, which is standard of care, they can leverage our tests to now improve their treatment for patients, whether
Okay.
surgery or radiation. So they find us through either our website, LinkedIn, at conferences, and
Podcast.
podcasts. Exactly. I'm happy to give my email at the end of this.
Yeah, no, we'll put the web at the end. Yeah, I just want to make sure that people know that this is not a dream. This is actually a functioning company, and it has taken a lot of effort. Did you ever think that you were not going to be able to make it?
Um, I have had those thoughts many times, but those are transient because at the end of the day, what makes a startup successful is the founding team really believing in the dream and pushing this forward. It's very easy to say, oh, it's too hard, too many challenges and kind of get disheartened. I'm not going to say that I don't, of course I get depressed. Of course I get disheartened. Of course, this is a normal human emotion. But I think we've built something and we've actually de-risked it now so that it's FDA cleared, it's got reimbursement. It's the first AI test in urology to actually get Medicare to pay for this. And has helped over 1,000 patients. So um, I don't have to believe. I know we're doing a lot of good, and if we don't do it, no one else will. So that's really what keeps me going forward.
Yeah, that's pretty good. What do you think it's next? What are the plans?
Yeah, so our plan is to scale up access to this technology. Again, we're really we just got reimbursement last year, so this is sort of the early days in our commercial ramp. But our next, I'd say our next year or two is to get this in the hands of as many doctors. We're focusing in, sort of large metropolitan areas, areas where there's the concentration of where the patients with the disease actually live and are most likely to go, which doctor to go to.
Mhm.
But I'd say our next big milestone beyond just commercial ramp is also a reimbursement milestone is we are running a large market access study to get private insurers to come on board. So, whether it be like United Healthcare, Aetna, what have you, because Medicare is the largest insurer in this for this disease, but private insurers are equally important.
Oh, great, great. Um, Maybe shift back into focus and just the mindset of the founder slash CEO, because you're beyond the founder now. Um, a lot of people ask what keeps you up at night. I find it very negative. I prefer to ask when you wake up in the morning, what makes you excited about having a day to spend doing something?
Mhm.
So what lightens up uh, your mind, your brain? What gets you excited?
So I love interacting with doctors and patients as well. It's so funny. I'm an engineer. I never thought, or I guess I always discounted sales. It's, um, was like in my mind when even when I started the company, it's just, sales is a dirty word. It's just a means to an end. It's just, whatever. We just need to build the great technology and then, folks will show up. But I'm finding myself now that we've transitioned to this commercial stage that I'm really, really liking sales. It's such a great feeling to having built all of this stuff is actually put it in the hands of real users, real customers, and see how patients actually interact and engage with it. We actually measured this, and 75% of patients that we surveyed said that they would prefer to go to a doctor that has AI capabilities and
Hmm.
and they really see it helping them stay with the doctor also for treatment, which is great for us because then we can tell the doctor, hey, for the first time, the patient's gonna say, thanks, doc, I want this therapy, and then go away to another institution. They're actually, are building confidence in your decision and in the shared decision together of what is the right treatment.
Yeah, that's great. Let me wrap up with a question that I ask that is kind of personal, but it's not gossiping. Don't worry, you're safe. Um, when I was 13, I fell off a horse and I ended up in coma. And I woke up 4 days later. And since then, I always think that life is a gift and I want to make the most of my time alive. So I always like to wrap this up with with a question about who are you when you're no longer here in time and space? Have you ever thought about it? What is your essence? What is leaving behind? What are you leaving behind?
So this would be like, what is the legacy? But
You know,
without that,
yeah, it's interesting
yeah.
because you can say it's legacy, but if I was in Europe and I was
Hmm.
talking about the company, and of course, you cannot separate the company from the founder. So I was talking about the company, I was talking about you, I was talking about the impact that you want to have. I want to make money, so we are money first, but not money only. It has to have something else. Um, and so I always feel when I talk about people, I always feel that they're present, even if they're not there. So that's why I say when you're no longer here in time and space, because you have no clue how many people are talking about you right
Hmm.
now. But you do know that you've created a big impact in the world just because your technology is helping a lot of patients making good decisions. I have a lot of friends. I don't have prostate, so I hope I don't get prostate cancer, in my work, I don't know. But I do have a lot of friends who have had prostate cancer. One of my friends just passed away 2 days ago. And it has an impact on them. Just the knowledge that the science is improving, knowing that somebody is behind. So I want to revert that question
Hmm.
back to the person that I'm interviewing. And have you thought about who you are when you're no longer here? When we can't see you or touch you or talk to you because you're not here physically or because you went to another space.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think of myself a little bit as like, I just care about progression because there's so many, I guess there's so many uh let's say externalities and forces trying to like hinder like our progress as human beings or as society or what have you because of perverse incentives, right? Um,
Hmm.
and I like what how I have always tried to, I guess, make decisions in life is to maximize chance of, again, like meaningful impact. Because, you can have a great impact or a big impact, but the big impact is, oh, I don't want to denigrate, game developers because making people happy for 2 seconds in a game, you can have a huge impact and all of that stuff. But I would like the impact to be, you know, society was advanced or, we can imagine a better world and done something meaningful towards that goal. I think that's what motivates me. It's just how can we improve and advance society forward, um, while sort of do no harm. It's like the minimization of harm and maximizing the outcomes.
Yeah. Well, Sham, thank you so very much for being here with us. I'm very, very grateful for your time. I'm very grateful for your company. A very happy investor. I think we've invested more than once, I think 3 times, and we look forward to continue supporting the company in any way we can besides capital. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, Alicia. Very nice talking to you.
Well, Sham is one of these very, very unique founders because he's so relaxed and he doesn't come across as a very egotistic person, overpowering. I really like the technology. And as an investor and former scientist myself, I go in deep, look deep into what they're doing. But I also like their approach. Their approach is creating value, not making money. Making money is good, but their approach is creating value. They have a very focused goal on improving diagnostic, and they have for prostate cancer, but they also have a technology that is hopefully will change surgery for something that is done at a doctor's office. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next podcast. Yours in Wealthing. This is Alicia Castillo Holley. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to our Wealthing Talks. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation. To stay connected, visit us at wealthing.com. This is Alicia Castillo Holley, your host, and until next time, yours in Wealthing.